After 493 days since Antonio Conte first joined Tottenham, in the points earned from that moment, Tottenham are 4th in the Premier League with 97 points and only 13 away from Liverpool in 3rd. And yet, as Tottenham crash out of the FA Cup against Sheffield United and slump out the Champions League in the round of 16 versus AC Milan, it seems as though everything is falling apart at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which, it's about time someone said it, is a great stadium. So today I want to explore all of the underlying issues at Tottenham, both on and off the pitch, and why Mauricio Pochettino is the answer to all of their problems, but not in the way that you might think. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Tottenham under Conte are fucking boring. Honestly, they are so... But how do Tottenham fans watch that football week in, week out, shutting up shop for the first 45 minutes with an inch of hope that they might be able to nick a goal in the second half, which, by the way, is a weird tactic for a team that was near throwing up from exhaustion in pre-season. Antonio Conte's reputation is known as a defensively boring manager who loves the sweet science of a back 8. And yet, if you look at the stats, they suggest something very, very different. Spurs are 4th in the goal-scoring charts in the Premier League and are outscoring their XG by 7%, which is good, by the way. Their attacking performances are incredibly similar to what happened at Inter Milan, who won the league with the highest goals scored and had a reputation for always converting their chances. This is what's happening at Tottenham, as you can tell by my excellently chosen XG stat, which you will thank me for. But we never notice this due to Conte's incredible dedication to a defensive ethos. But when we look at the defensive stats, they're incredibly questionable. Tottenham are 13th in the league with goals conceded and have let in 5 more than their XG suggests. So the persistence of constantly giving up possession in favour of a supposedly solid defensive structure, it's simply not working. Tottenham can and have scored goals this season. So for Conte, it seems as though it's a bad, but it could be worse situation, as he does not trust his back line when utilising his attacking assets. He sees that his defensive line are so incredibly vulnerable, even when they're camped on the edge of their own 18. I think it's pretty clear that Conte wants to shut up shop in the first 45 minutes, especially against those big teams, and try and take advantage of the fresh legs in the second to try and nick a goal. But if we look at the stats, they're equally more likely to concede in the first half than they are in the second. So for Conte, it must just be a desperate attempt to try and play football with a terrible back line, and he sees it as almost the only way to play with this Spurs side. Tell you what, I'd probably let Conte take advantage of my fresh legs. Good looking man. This complete mistrust in his players has also been seen by his lack of rotation in the squad, never really giving some new signings a chance. For example, Jed Spence, he is a footballer, if you didn't know. Dan Juma, he was signed to Spurs, not to play football, but to not sign for Everton. And with a lack of game time given to some players, some of them are going to be a little more vocal than others.
I want to play, mate. I'm lacking minutes, time. This season, and, apologies for the use of word, has been because I don't have minutes.
Now, something tells me that Richarlison loves a wine, you know, probably allegedly not particularly faithful to his other half due to the sheer amount of whining he does on the weekends, but just to so publicly express your frustrations to the media on a night where you've just got knocked out of the Champions League just shows the complete lack of cohesion in that dressing room. It is very unprofessional from Richarlison, but can we blame him? Conte has shown a complete lack of commitment to Spurs throughout his entire time there. One minute he loves it, the next minute he hates it, the next minute he's getting surgery on his stomach. I get stomach aches when I'm bored. And when I watch Tottenham, you know, and I don't have to pick between Davinson Sanchez and Ben Davies. It all feels as though members of the club are beginning to use the media to gain some sort of weird leverage over the dressing room, and now reportedly players are pining for old managers, which is exactly where Mauricio Pochettino comes in. The return of Captain Smooth. That's his nickname. It sounds like a masseuse you wouldn't trust. Poch is the answer to bringing Tottenham back to who they once were, and that is a club with a philosophy and a way of playing that the fans feel connected to. A man at the helm that the players like and fans think as one of their own. This direction of pragmatic dictators as head coaches, taken from Chelsea apparently, will never work at Tottenham. It doesn't suit the club. They've already not won anything, just let them enjoy the football. However, do not fool yourself into thinking that this move for Mauricio will result in Tottenham becoming a threat once again, because they never really were under Poch. See, the Argentine had a 1.84 points per game record at Tottenham, which is only a slight improvement on Conte's 1.77. Poch was rarely a threat in domestic cups and was actually criticised with constantly prioritising the league over domestic cups. Many level criticism against Conte due to the fact that he's never won a knockout game in the Champions League. Well, Poch's record isn't exactly great either. In 3 of his 4 attempts, he's had a group stage knockout and 2 last 16 knockouts. Yes, he got to the final, but anomalies happen. Everyone says that Poch worked miracles with such little investment he had at the club, and yes, he did go 517 days without signing a player, which is mental, but at the same time he did spend 440 million in 5 years, so it's not exactly a shoestring budget. The reason that Pochettino should come back to Spurs isn't for immediate trophies or immediate success. It's because the club that Tottenham are in 2023 are built upon the foundations that were built by Mauricio Pochettino. 5 out of the 10 players that played the most football under Pochettino are still starting regularly today. Allow the club to return to the high-tempo attacking football that Tottenham once were, and stop subjecting the fans to miserable 5 at the backs in favour of getting no closer to that elusive trophy. In my opinion, bring Poch home and don't let Harry Kane see any of it. Now, let me explain. I think that Kane needs to go in order for Tottenham to move on. Now, you need to be very careful of where he ends up, but just allow Tottenham to bring in a new generation from the money you get from Kane and just bring them into a new era with Pochettino, a Tottenham man. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Harry Kane is holding Spurs back on the pitch. He's having quite a quiet but brilliant season so far. I just think that the back of Harry Kane might bring back trophies to Tottenham.